Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Oberon Titania and we are starting a new franchise in Bella's Best Zoos, and this one I am calling the Blanc Zoo. Blanc meaning vanilla or white, as in it's totally empty. We are in the desert, we are in North America. And apparently the flat desert in North America is in the middle of the mountains in a huge floodplain. Well, not necessarily a floodplain, but if it ever flash flooded here, I would be in trouble because there is nowhere for water to go. Nowhere. So I believe later on I'm going to create a wash or a dry stream bred through the middle of the zoo so that water has a place to run off. Just because IRL, that would make me so much more comfortable. So we are going to start out with planning what pathway I want and then putting a pathway down. Now, what is going on right now is I recorded this and I was talking and explaining what I was doing through the entire thing, and then I realized as I listened and watched it back, I couldn't hear my voice at all. It did not pick up my voice. So we'll do it this way. And if this way works, well then I just might do it. I just might do a voiceover for all of them. I think that would be just fine. So here we go. We are starting up on this. And you can see that I'm still struggling with pathways. Go figure, nothing's changed. It has been a few months, but I got really inspired by watching another YouTuber create a brand new zoo with the new year. Her name is Few Candy, and it just looked really fun, and it was like, you know something, I want to get back into this. So, disregarding some of the headaches that pathing cause, I'm going to get back into it, and I'm just going to have fun with it. So that's what I'm doing right now, is getting this pathing figured out, remembering some of the controls and what's going on here. And if you notice, I am definitely not doing gridded or straight lines or anything like that. I am going a little bit more natural, trying to be a bit more organic. When I have to, I'll go gridded, but if I don't have to, I'm not going to hold myself to that. Sometimes it creates great designs, and sometimes I don't have to. Okay, so as you remember, to keep everything as cheap as possible during the first part of the zoo, you try to not buy power stations as soon as possible. So I'm keeping the facilities right now close to the front, to the entrance, which provides its own power. And that's what I'm doing right here. Now I put the trade center, animal trade center, then a quarantine, then a vet surgery. That's where I'm at right now. And then, where is it? A keeper hut. Yep. I'm going to put this keeper hut, just the first one, right next to the trade center. Do you guys see the mistake I just made? Well, if you see it, put it in the notes. I will fix it later in the episode. But if you see it right now, let me know. It was very much I can't believe I did that kind of mistake. So let's just finish up with this. So this one I have angle snap on, and it does make it a whole lot easier to work with things, especially when I'm working with staff paths. So that works right there. And then I start thinking about what animals I want in here. A start just now. I'm in North America, I'm in the desert, so let's find out what animals match those criteria. Desert, North America, and look at that huge range of animals I have. Just about half of them are exhibit animals, not habitat animals. Those are my habitat options. prairie dog, a cougar, and a pronghorn antelope. The cougar is a no. It's way too expensive this early in the zoo's life. Pronghorn antelope I've done before. I've never created a habitat for a prairie dog. So I start researching and thinking, well, I can put away my little bit of dislike for these ground rodents and create a habitat for them. Researching what I need to do. See, I used to live in Oklahoma a long time ago, like before the turn of the century, long time ago. And we had parks, public parks there that were infested with these guys. So I never thought they'd actually be in a zoo, because we were always told not to play on the grass because the holes would make you trip, and don't let your dogs go there. And on the riding trails, definitely don't let the horses go there because they'd break a leg. And so it was a big thing to have groundhogs and prairie dogs because they needed to get rid of them for public safety. And here I am trying to put them in a zoo. I'm just really glad they are not protected because they are least concerned. They're rodents after all, they breed very fast. But then I saw the only female available, her points were way too high. Oh, too high. So I grabbed one male for later, and I'm going to my stable, the pronghorn antelope. And there's one male here, so I know I'm going to get him. So it's choosing which one of these females. None of their stats are hip hip hooray, but they're okay. Now one more female, and since the male has terrible immunity, I'll get the female with great immunity. Together we should have a really nice baby that way, right? Okay, so now let's get this habitat started. And I think, well, it's too flat. So I want to create a little depression, give some variety to the elevation of the surface. So I go over here to construction, just grab a little 1 meter high piece, sink it down so it's just barely under the ground, then come over here to my terrain elevation, make it as small as I can, lower the intensity, and just push the ground down till I can see the bottom of this construction piece. Then I choose the flattened terrain, the flattened foundation, and I flatten it right there. And then I just have at it. I'm not really caring about space or anything right now, or even money. I'm just playing around with this thing. And wondering, this is a good thing to wonder, why is the default long grass whenever you're changing terrain? I mean, that just looks terrible. Besides, very unrealistic. So after I do all that, I change the terrain again back to sand. Once I figure it out. Again, it looks really bland and boring like this. But it's a good way to start. You like to start with a blank white canvas so that you can make it not blank and make it not white, right? And I look at my barriers, but before I put a barrier down, I realize I need some place for the guest to actually view this habitat that's not on the main path. So I create the secondary path, and I figure I'm going to make all my secondary paths a different type than my main path. So those are some rules I'm following here. So my secondary paths are all going to be this wood chip. Time skip. There we go, it's done. Isn't that a beautiful... I mean, it's so gorgeous, isn't it? There's nothing like the extreme basics of something. But it's a nice habitat. It's actually more space than they need. So they won't get too stressed out. They'll have areas to go to de-stress. Antelope are very, very stressful creatures. I put down my education boards and speakers. And now I'm going to work on Let's see, like I said, their space is way too much, but it's fine. And then I start working on their terrain. I go back and forth a few times. I want to get rid of a lot of that sand, trying to replace it with soil, then with grass. Then I realize, hold it, I'm in the desert. Where does flora grow in the desert? It normally tries to grow where it can get the water the best, right? Well, I don't think that would be on the top of the ridge. That would more than likely be on the bottom. So my thought process as I'm going through this, okay, let's go ahead, increase the size of what I'm looking at, and make everything one type. So I made everything soil. Now, let's put some grass where the water would collect naturally. And as you can see, it's still too much soil. So I lowered the intensity. I grab my short grass area and I just click, 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 click. I don't swoop, I click this time. All the way around until my soil is in the green and not the red. Well, as you can see, I finished all that. Now I'm going to do a really quick snap of my fingers and I'll have a little garden in there for them. Isn't that beautiful? Then we're going to go into a quick time lapse while I'll do some detailing around the medians, and we'll just get going. right. How did you like that detailing time lapse? Leave a note below for me. So we are going to start. I'll do a small little walkthrough with you as soon as it becomes light enough and day enough. Okay, here we go. Walking up to a great big expanse of nothing surrounded by desert mountains. Isn't it wonderful? Alright, so we're going to turn to the left where I put up a small exhibit, mainly because exhibits bring in the people, I think, more than the habitats do, especially at the start. So they're a good way to keep the money coming in. And I put a little oasis behind this exhibit with the trees, some little bushes, and I'm going to do more with it later, but I like that, especially as a background, so that I'm not cutting off the view. They can still look at that rattlesnake that's in there, which I'll show you guys later. But now I turned around and I'm going this way. And let's see. We're going down the path. We're just going to look in the habitat for a bit right now, just to see how things are going there. Looks like we have some family, antelope family, having fun there. And look at that nice cactus garden over in the corner. I think that's a nice little variation. Kind of reminds me of some things I've seen in Arizona before. And I like how big this habitat is. That means the antelope can run away from the stressful guests and they won't have to worry about it, because antelope are very stressful animals. And here I'm just looking at the median where I did a little bit of detailing, put a little fence up where truthfully you'd be able to sit if you were in real life. The trees provide some shade, so do these umbrellas, which no one is using for some weird reason. It's over 100 degrees outside, people, and you're not using the umbrellas or sitting down. And truthfully, most of them aren't wearing hats either, or have drinks. Okay, that's the next thing I'm going to do. Next episode, is I'm going to put some guest facilities in here. They can have drinks and food and a place to sit that's in the shade. Because apparently, deserts are hot places. Go figure. Alright guys, well thank you very much for watching this with me. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of the life of the antelopes as they're just going through. And I hope you come back. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave me a note telling me if you didn't or if you think I can improve something. Or even better yet, what animals you'd like to see coming in the future. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks a bunch. Bye.